Hey Floridians, hope you had a safe 4th of July weekend and you're ready to get the 411 on this week's fishing. Our species tonight is a kid's favorite. You'll need to be careful while landing a bull, lemon, tiger, or mako. Tonight we're talking sharks here on the one and only Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back, anglers, to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Hope you all had a blast during this nice long holiday weekend, like Rick said, and of course caught some fish. But Rick, sharks have been on everyone's minds lately, and you know, with the hit single "Baby Shark," do. So why don't you give us a little more actual insight to sink our teeth into?
Well, you know, Brie, I love catching really big sharks. I love catching them on fly. I love them because they're really great for the kids to experience. Every little kid knows about Jaws. So on those windy days, it's really fun. You can turn a really bad day into a great shark day when it's blowing 25.
And we'll never forget it, too.
That's right.
All right, we've got our CCA workbench guru, Dave Ferrell, who is all things techniques and new products. So, Dave, are we getting a little sharky over here today?
Oh, of course. We're going to talk about catching sharks and what to do with them when you catch them and
That's important.
how to take care of them, for sure.
Very important.
Yeah,
all those
it's very
things.
important.
Why
things.
do
It's the
I
most
think there's
important.
a what not to do over there, too?
Exactly.
I
This
can
is
just
the
tell
what
with the
not-
look on his face.
What not to do
Yeah.
technique. All right, first up, we have our Captain Jeff Page on the FaceTime machine, ready to chat us up about these toothy creatures from the StarTron Central West region. Hey, Page, how's it going?
Hey, you guys. I hope everybody had a good 4th of July weekend. And you know what? In the StarTron Central West region, sharks are plentiful inshore as well as offshore. And I'm not talking just little puppy sharks. I'm talking about big bull sharks, black tips, hammerheads. And then as you push offshore, we get into the tigers and the mako sharks. But as far as if you want to catch sharks this time of year, 20 feet of water on out, and pretty much you're going to find sharks around any structure that you find bait and fish that we like to catch, like mackerel, bluefish, permit. Anything we like to catch, that shark likes to eat. And the top 3 species I mentioned, black tips, bull sharks, and hammerheads. Being tarpon season right now, they're in even closer along the beaches and in the passes, mostly hammerheads and bull sharks, and it's not uncommon while you're fighting your tarpon to have a shark take a swipe at him, and it happens a lot. That being said, inshore we catch them around the Sunshine Skyway piers and the ship channels leading up into Tampa Bay, and then down south in Charlotte Harbor, pretty much anywhere from Boca Grande Pass down the middle of the harbor all the way to Peace River and Mayaca River. It's a little bit known fact that down in the wintertime they catch a lot of them, Rick, around the Mayaca Bridge at El Jobim, as also at the 41 Bridge at the Peace River, because all the fish are up there, so that's where the sharks are going to be. You can use them daytime or night, catch them daytime or night. Jacks, bonita, whole mullet are great baits, and you're going to want to use wire, heavy conventional rods and reels, and it's a good idea to bring a little bit of chum out there. I've got 2 shark photos tonight. My first one is Gary Tuna Breath Huffman with a little medium-sized hammerhead he caught with a happy client. And my second shark photo is our friend, your friend and mine, Bo Johnson, with a big old bull shark he caught down in Charlotte Harbor.
That's a nice one. All right, what else you got, Paige?
Red snapper with the water temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. The red snapper bite continues to be strong, Rick. It's just moved out a little deeper. 120 feet on out seems to be the number. Most of the captains I'm talking to, they're doing a lot better with a mixture of cut sardines as well as live pinfish. And it's worth spending the time to jig up some pinfish before you go out on sabiki. And then you want to find the smaller areas of hard bottom with bait stacks on it. And don't be surprised if you catch a big gag while you're out there. Got a really good red snapper photo of a friend of yours and mine, Rick, Captain Josh Bibler of Palmetto, Florida, with a big red snapper.
All right, let's go
Moving
inshore.
redfish. I'm proud to say the red fishing continues to get better each week, Rick. And I really do believe it's a lot of these afternoon thunderstorms with all the bait and stuff flushing out the canals and creeks. The water's cooled off there where it's doing that. Fish are starting to show up around the Fort DeSoto area, as well as Joe Bay, McGill Bay, and Terracea Bay. And then down south, they're doing well around the oyster bars and the mangrove islands in Bull Bay and Turtle Bay on the higher stages of the tide. It's a good idea to skip a chunk of ladyfish or pinfish up underneath the mangroves or up on top of the oyster bars with a 2 or 3/0 circle hook and just let it sit. If you like throwing lures, the Golden Brim Saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad will get the job done. And I like to rig it on a 1/4 ounce chartreuse jig head. Got a redfish photo tonight of a happy client with a really nice redfish he caught in Terracea Bay with Captain Griffin Deans of Slot Machine Charters out of Bradenton. And my last species tonight, your favorite, Rick, the tarpon, still remains consistent with lots of fish being taken up and down the beaches and in the passes. Of course, Boca Grande Pass and Egmont Pass, but also they're in the passes at night around the Longboat Key Pass Bridge and the New Pass Bridge, as well as the Venice Jetty. And they're using live ladyfish and silver mullet, free-lined on 60 to 80-pound fluorocarbon on a 7/0 circle hook. And then during the day, they're catching them on smaller live crabs and thread fins. But don't forget the pinfish under a cork. Little trick you taught me works real well. I've got my last photo tonight of a friend of yours. You probably won't recognize him. That's little Mikey Vanetti, all grown up and in college with a girlfriend with Stacy Capps. But if you remember, he did a Sportsman Adventures you when he was like 10 years old.
Well, he ain't 10 anymore, Paige,
Nope.
but hey, thanks for sending in the pictures. Way to start us off this week. We'll see you over at ICAST, and
See y'all
looking
at
forward
ICAST.
to you, man. All right, hot spots from the Daiquiri Deck Central West region are inshore mangrove snappers. Lots of them are on the grass flats and hard bottoms off of Rattlesnake Key and Bishop's Harbor. Use live pilchards or shrimp on a small 1/0 or 2/0 size hook with 15 to 20 pound leader. And then offshore sharks, look for the bulls and black tips holding on the near shore wrecks and reefs in 30 to 60 feet of water up and down the entire region. And a whole mullet or a jack is going to be your best bait for those big toothy critters.
Toothic fritters. All right, well, coming up later this month, Rick, Jeff, Paige, and I, or me, will be at the Daiquiri Deck Venice location July 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. So come on by if you're in the area and join us for fantastic food, fun, some giveaway action, right?
We're going to have lots of stuff to
I
give
know,
away.
we always do. And of course, some ice cold daiquiris. We hope to see you all there. It'll be fun. You doing your daiquiri dance?
Daiquiri Deck.
He's getting ready. All right, now let's attack the Panhandle region to see what our Captain Pat Deneen has to say if catching a shark is on your summer bucket list. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Bree, tell you what, Shark Week on the Insider Fishing Report, and it's plenty sharky up here in the Yeti Panhandle region. If you want to catch a shark, right now is an excellent time to do it. This week, we saw a 10-foot tiger cruising the outer bar off Fort Walton Beach. One or more of them has been there just about every day near the pier, sipping dead filters off the surface. In fact, I got about a 2-minute video of one today, just swimming around eating those potato chips, one after another on the top. It was pretty cool. But really more numerous are the smaller 3 to 6 foot sharks. Along the beach, there are plenty of black tips, spinners, sharp nose, and a few bull sharks. Most of these sharks are catchable on heavy spinning rod, baited with ladyfish or a ladyfish chunk. If bigger sharks are your deal, break out the conventional tackle, anchor up near some natural bottom or some of the barges or some of the near shore artificial bottom, chum, and fish with a bonita fillet. In the deeper waters, you can expect bulls, duskies, tigers, and many of them are full grown. But why don't you just go down to the beach and discourage one of those tiger sharks from hanging around right there off that sandbar. Staying offshore, it may sound like a broken record, but the red snappers are the main target. The bottom structure is the key, both natural and artificial. Natural bottom is easiest to fish for the less experienced boaters because you don't really have to hold up right above a small piece of bottom. You can drift a bit and still get bites. But the artificial bottom requires you to hold up more to get the bites, but you might get a better grade of snappers. Once again, live cigar minnows, herrings are the baits of choice. Live shrimp and small pilchards are also great baits, especially on lighter leaders. And there's still some big snappers being caught in the 20-plus class hitting the docks. Moving inshore, This past week, we've had some exceptional weather suitable for tarpon fishing. We've got light winds, slick, calm seas, clear water. All of those things add up to putting silver kings in the air. And as I mentioned last week, the fish are migrating east to west along our coast. Sometimes they're barely swimming, and sometimes they're marching along at a pretty good pace, but they're pretty much always just off of that outer sandbar. We had found some fish this week in the gully between the outer and inner bars, but generally they're going to be on the outer side of that outer bar. Treat them right. Don't chase them with your outboard running. Set up on them and let them swim to you. You're going to have a whole lot better results. There's some really big ones around. Jason Zabelski, he caught a monster this week, and we taped 2 fish in the 150 class. And there's a photo of 2 twin boys. They're in middle school. They're on the middle school fishing team up in South Carolina. They each caught a tarpon that was pretty much identical to the one in the picture, and I don't think they're ever going to look at a bass the same.
You're right about that, Pat.
Hey, Rick, finally inshore, if you want to beat the heat in the summer crowd, stay in the air conditioning during the day and fish at night for speckled trout. There's been some good trout fishing and also some redfish being caught after dark in the bay and on the intercoastal dock lights. It's primarily going to be a live bait fishery, but streamers and shrimp imitations on the fly rod work well, as do unweighted plastic jerk baits. Live baits of choice are going to be shrimp, spot minnows, and finger mullets. For a jerk bait, try out a bass assassin saltwater shad. I like the natural colors and some of the clearer colors, especially at night. You know, maybe clear with a little bit of speckles in them. Rig them on a worm hook. Anchor up or power pole a cast away from the light. Present your bait so they drift through that light to get the bite.
All right, drift through the lights to get the bite. Thank you. Great report from the Yeti Panhandle region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region inshore. Triple tails on the crab traps and the navigational markers in Apalachicola. Use a small shrimp or crab for bait underneath the cork, and then offshore recreational red snapper season ends soon. Fish live baits on a Carolina rig over natural and artificial bottom, Brie.
Drift through the light to get the bite.
That's it.
I like it.
I know
like
you're going
it.
to use that.
I totally am. All right, we're just getting this Shark Week started, so hang on for the Belt Central East region. Swimming your way next. But first, we're swimming over to the CCA workbench for Academy Sports Rigs and Techniques with Dave Ferrell. Dave, what are we catching some sharks with over there today?
Mostly things that stink.
Yeah.
Because they have a really good snout.
They do have a
And
snout.
we're going to talk about that snout.
That good snout matches those good teethies.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back.
Stinky stuff.
Stinky stuff.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. Sirius XM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Well, we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques at the CCA workbench, Dave, and we've got some sharky stuff.
Well, you know, we're talking about sharks, which are really a cool animal to target here in Florida. Florida is full of sharks from one end to the other. We're in a tropical area, so and most sharks like warm water. But when we talk about sharks, we like to use sharks as a one word that encompasses all of them, but there's more than 200 species of sharks, and they all do different things, and they all eat different things, so you use different methods to catch them for sure. You know, some sharks can really detect minute traces of blood in the water, sometimes 7 parts per million. I mean, it's amazing how a little bit of scent in the water can draw different sharks. You notice it doesn't draw always the same sharks. There's always usually a certain set of sharks that show up first when you're starting to do that, you know, putting chum out and baits and whatnot. And that's because they're all different, and they all have different, you know, all sharks are, they're so hardy that we even use them for scientific research. With all the stuff that we find out about what fish can see, a lot of it comes from sharks, because we can set them in a little tank and shock them and show them something and shock them and show them something, and pretty soon they start blinking when we start showing them stuff, and then we can figure out what sharks can see and what they can smell and what they can eat. But when we're here, when we're going to go to try to catch them, you know, here in Florida, a good, you know, heavy spinning rod, 20-pound spinning rod will probably be just fine. You know, 50-pound braid will probably catch every shark that you encounter in Florida, unless you're offshore. You know, this would be great for
this Azor 65 loaded up with the braid.
Yeah, with 80-pound braid down to 100-pound.
Braid,
yeah, 65 to 80-pound braid, and you know, enough weight to get to the bottom if you need to be fishing in the bottom. It depends on where you're fishing and what kind of sharks you're fishing for. Some of the sharks will be on the bottom, and some sharks you'll be, you know, cast into, like a redfish or a trout, or even, you know, you'll sight fish them when let's say the spinner sharks or the black tips are up eating all the mullet run. You know, you're going to be up on top of them and just, you know, free lining one of the baits that you catch out of the pod, or free lining a dead bait out there when they're eating all that other bait. And it's just like regular fishing then. But you're always going to use wire because they have teeth. You know, you're going to use number 8 or number 9 wire. You can go lighter if you need to, if the sharks aren't that big. I like to use a circle hook when I'm catching a shark, and I like to use all the hooks that I'm going to use when I'm fishing for sharks are hooks that I'm planning on never seeing again. I don't like to try to get my hook back from a shark. Usually the hook is in a place that's pretty close to his mouth. Not all the time, because they'll get foul hooked a lot, but and he'll wind himself up in that leader. So you want to use a long leader. I didn't use a really long leader here, but you're going to want to use something, you know, 8 to 10 feet long usually, especially if you're catching, correct, especially if you're catching those spinner sharks or black sharks, or even a lemon shark. They have a tendency to spin when they get up alongside the boat, kind of like a crocodile or an alligator. When they get up alongside the boat and you get them close, they'll start spinning and winding up. And if they wind up all your metal leader and get that really rough skin on your mono, they can bust the mono with their skin.
And the same thing applies with a hammerhead, because you hook him, and more often than not, the wire goes out over the end of the hammer. Yeah. So now you're pulling him from the end of the hammer, and if you only had a little piece of wire, then what ends up happening is it wears on the monofilament, of course.
Right. Now, this is a little trick I like to use whenever I'm doing any kind of fishing with bait, and I don't want to fight the weight. I want when the fish is on, I want the weight to go away. I'll make a little loop in the leader, and I'll lay it alongside my weight, and I'll get my rubber band and just wrap it. So then when I get the bite, this thing will just pop right off. Then you'll lose the weight. But now you're fighting the fish free, which is a great thing. Now, you don't always have to use baits, like I was saying before. You can catch a lot of sharks, especially like makos. They like to eat, they're a fish-eating shark, so they like to eat moving baits. You can catch them on plugs and trolled plugs especially. A lot of times we catch makos by accident when we're fishing for marlin on a marlin lure, because
That's how
he thinks,
Colin caught his.
yeah, you're trolling along, and there you catch, because you're using braided cable on your hook sets usually, so you end up catching a lot of sharks. If you're trolling slow enough, or even sometimes fast enough with a mako, he can swim as fast as any fish. But you know, you can always cast plugs, which is a lot of fun, or even fly fish for sharks.
Right.
So you know, there's a ton of different ways to catch them. We have a ton of different sharks in our waters, and they're just a great fish to target.
You did good.
Just make sure you don't put them in the boat unless you're going to put them in the box.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
In the box.
Count your digits.
Count your digits, make sure
I
you
didn't
have
get to
them
go
all.
on my rant.
All right, let's see what Captain Jim Ross can add to this feeding frenzy in the Bell's Central East region. Hey, Jim, what's going on?
Well, you know, here in the Central East region, Brie, we have plenty of sharks, and you can catch them just about every day of the year. Inshore, our most popular species are blacktip spinner, hammerhead, fine tooth, and sharpnose. And, of course, you get on those offshore reefs, and we've got some bulls and plenty of sandbars. If you ever wanted to catch a sandbar shark, we have got them here in the Central East region. Most of the guys that are actually targeting sharks, though, are sitting just outside the surf break. We do a lot of that right around the Cape Canaveral area, as a matter of fact. And they're usually using some bonita or some barracuda, some kind of a big chunk bait. You can even cut part of that off of the bait, or part of it off for bait, and use the rest of it to just hang over and use a chum slick. So it's kind of a two-edged or a double-purpose type of a bait that you can use with it on your hook and hanging over to create that slick. Now, we also catch them when we're using pilchards, greenies, pogies, that sort of thing, when we're targeting other fish like kingfish and tarpon and stuff like that. So if you're targeting sharks, though, you need to have about 24 to 36 inches of single-strand wire. Typically a number 5 or higher is what we like to use. You want to put a swivel on that, and put a good swivel. Put a ball-bearing swivel, because you want to combat line twist whenever possible. And we use a 9/0 VMC hook most of the time. The way I set mine up, I use the Azores 6000 or 8000. It's the brand new blue-colored Azores reels, and I put 30 to 50-pound Suffix 832 braid on them. And I use a 5 to 6 foot leader of 80 to 100-pound test mono or fluorocarbon, in addition to that 24 inches of wire. That way I can hand, when they get close to the boat, I can grab it by hand, I can pull it in, and like Dave was saying, it protects from those sharks' rough skin that you can lose fish to if you don't have a heavy enough leader. Long de-hooking device. I highly recommend that. Keep your hand out of the bite zone. It's always nice to keep your fingers and let the shark get set free, and you get the hook back out of them if you can. If you don't have a long de-hooking device, or you're just not comfortable with that, then do what Dave does. Trim them off, let them swim. It'll fall out of them eventually, and that way you can just let those things just get away from you and not cause any problems with your hands. Most of our sharks right now are running about 10 to 60 pounds inshore, and offshore we've got them anywhere from 180 to basically 250 pounds. Now, my second species is king mackerel, and I kind of mentioned that while we were talking about the sharks, because while we're targeting sharks or king mackerel, we're catching both. You know, we're catching both at the same time. Right now, though, the Pelican Flats, the 8A Reef, Chris Benson Reef seem to be fairly good. The Party Grounds and the East 11 up in the Ponce area are also doing really good. Live bait is still your best bet. Slow troll them on a stinger rig, but they are hitting Rapala and Williamson lip diving plugs, and you can also use sea witch and mullet strip combos, or the good old-fashioned chin-weighted naked ballyhoo. Throw that out behind the boat, and they'll come up and hit that as well. If you're looking for larger fish, ribbon fish on a downrigger have a tendency to do that. Most of our fish right now are running 10 to 20 pounds, but we have some fish into the 30-pound range on a regular basis right now. Now, swinging back inshore, one of Rick's favorite fish to chase, and of course it's one of mine, is the tarpon. And we've got tarpon roaming all up and down the region right now, and they're in the 10 to 40-foot depths. They're a little tighter to the beach this year than what they have normally been, so we're finding a lot of fish in less than 20 feet of water because we have a lot of glass minnows real tight to the beach in most areas. So look really, really tight, right in the shore break almost, or right in the surf break almost, is where we're catching a lot of our tarpon. You want to rig up with a pilchard, a pogie, a greenie, and a 7385 VMC 7/0 or 8/0 circle hook is the best scenario that I've found. That hook locks into that fish's jaw or cuts into the jaw better than anything else that I've tried. Most of our tarpon are running 50 to 100 pounds. Some of our fish are getting up into that 150-pound range. And my last species this week is speckled trout. It's been fairly decent in the Mosquito Lagoon. Live pinfish and pigfish and fingerling mullet are working best right now. Saltwater sassafras sea shad or the little 3.5-inch didapper in the gray ghost or opening night colors if you're fishing clean water. If you're fishing dirty water, electric chicken or the new Pimp Daddy color, that one in the dirty water has been fantastic this week. Check around Spoil Islands as well, especially from Melbourne through Vero. But if you want decent-sized fish, our larger fish seem to be coming from the Mosquito Lagoon. So fish anywhere from about Cucumber Island north up to about Glory Hole.
All right, thank you so much, Jimmy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Central East hotspots. He says inshore, redfish on the southeastern shoreline of the Mosquito Lagoon. Fish assassin, copper-colored juice, sea shads in areas with mullet and grass. And then offshore, tarpon on the bait pods between Sebastian and Canaveral. Use bait fish on a 7.0 VMC circle hook.
All right, CCA Star has something for everyone, Rick. And yes, even sharks can be entered to win big. The Power Pole Conservation Division has anglers entering a photo on the West Marine measuring device of any fish they catch this summer to win an 8-foot shallow water anchor, micro, or hydro glow dock light. Also, every entry is eligible to win a fishing trip with one of our regional FIFR captains, and Kingfish Entries winners will win a trip with our Casa Vieja Southeast Region captain, Jimbo Thomas. You have until Labor Day to get out there, so get registered at ccafloridastar.com. They're always coming up with such great ideas for all of our anglers. They really are. All right, Floridians. Excuse me?
Bonus,
exactly. Floridians, we're taking a bite out of the Fish Bites East Region and Bell's Southwest regions next, only on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, so stay hooked and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Kubota, find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I'd rather be. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and time don't matter to me, 'cause I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere.
You know, no shark show is complete without our friend Guy Harvey. But, you know, he's an important guy. He's got a lot of important things to do. So, unfortunately, he couldn't be here this year. But he did send us this message. So, let's take a look.
He is here.
He is here.
Hey, Rick. Great to be back on your show. I'd like to be there with you, but I'm on an expedition in one of your other favorite places. Welcome to Isla Mujeres. We're back on this beautiful island doing whale shark research and also helping to spread the word about plastic waste in our oceans. We're currently working with the Mexican scientist Rafael de la Parra to tag and track whale sharks in the Western Atlantic. Last year we started following 4 whale sharks with satellite tags, and they have traveled a combined distance of 28,000 miles. Here's a sample of that tracking. As you can see, one whale shark even traveled from the Caribbean to parts of the Atlantic, way past Bermuda. Another spent a great deal of time within the Gulf of Mexico. It's important to understand the migration patterns of these animals so we can help protect them. We're also here with the group called 4Ocean, who are doing everything they can to help the world become more aware of how much plastic is actually in the ocean. If you buy a whale shark bracelet or t-shirt, you'll help support our whale shark research. And Rick, of course, thanks for all your help in the past in tagging the mako sharks. You know that 30% of our tagged mako sharks have been caught and killed, and that has helped lead to some big changes in the way the mako sharks are managed. Remember, you can track a variety of marine pelagic species on the GHRItracking.org website. Later this summer, in August in fact, we head back to Costa Rica. Here we'll be tagging and tracking blue marlin in the Pacific and getting in the water with some silky sharks. This is a species that is still poorly understood. According to the research by Dr. Mahmoud Shivji at Nova Southeastern University's Guy Harvey Research Institute, the silky shark has been hit really hard in the shark fin trade for several decades. Dr. Shivji's genetic work also shows that they were the second most caught shark in the shark fin trade. It's no wonder that populations of silky sharks have gone down by over 90%. Speaking of genetics, we are scheduled soon to go to the Pacific to work with white sharks, and my daughter Jessica will be there for her very first visit. We're doing that to support the Guy Harvey Research Institute work on white shark genomics and that creature's great ability to heal. So, as you can see, Rick, it's from whale sharks to white sharks and silky sharks in between. It promises to be a very sharky year. We'll see you soon.
We told you he was doing important things.
Yes.
Lots of important things. And 4Ocean, they're a great company.
Yeah, man.
I have a few of their bracelets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we should buy more of them,
You know what? I
obviously,
think
to
Guy
help
Harvey-
with the whale shark.
Exactly. We do need to buy more. And I think Guy Harvey should narrate a
Documentary.
Discovery Channel documentary because his voice is just so soothing. All right, we miss you, Guy. Good work. All right, sometimes sharks are the target, but most of the time they're a nuisance in the Fish Bites East region, and you can go right ahead and take them off anglers' hands and Captain Mike Holliday's hands. Right, Mike?
It's the truth. It's like the tax man has come in early this year.
Yes.
There's no lack of sharks in the region. They've become more prevalent over the last 6 or 7 years to the point that they are a nuisance. The areas around Palm Beach, Jupiter, and Stewart are really the places that see them a lot, even in the inlets and even on the beaches in those areas. The most common sharks we see offshore, they're bull sharks and great hammerheads, while the sharks we see a lot on the beaches are either black tips or spinners, and then we do see some of those silky sharks. If you're looking to tangle with a big shark offshore, just grab some bonitas, drift the ledge off Jupiter, or go to the shark barge, it's aptly named in Stewart, or the sand pile off Stewart. There's a lot of sharks that are resident sharks there, mostly bull sharks. Drop the bonita over. It'll take a good, 3 or 4 minutes, and you're going to get bit. There's also a good concentration of spinner sharks around the St. Lucie Power Plant outflow and nearby Walton Rocks Beach. A mullet or a jack crevalle or a chunk of bonita. You can fish it from shore. You can fish it by boat. You do really well on those. In the North Fork of the St. Lucie River or around the Crossroads area of Stewart or the Turning Basin in Fort Pierce, use slow troll or live mullet. You're going to get plenty of action from small bullish sharks that are in there, as well as some of the blacktip sharks that are on the inside. And if you're going to mess with sharks, keep in mind that sooner or later you're going to land one. So if you want to get your hook back, be sure to bring along a de-hooking device, pinch down the barbs, use circle hooks, do whatever you can so when you get that shark next to the boat or you get it on shore, you can get the hook out really quickly and make sure the shark survives. The other thing we have going, after a slow weekend, the summertime catch and release snook fishing has been picking up steadily. In all the places like Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, South Beach, and Fort Pierce, and basically all the inlets in my region. All those areas are stacked with male fish. They've been there for a while, particularly along the shorelines of the beaches. So if you're just looking to have fun with a fly rod or a topwater plug or a swimming plug, just be on the water at dawn, work your baits parallel to shore. You'll get plenty of bites. Another good bite that's happening is the Juno Beach Pier. This giant wall of pilchards moved in under the pier in the last week, and the snook are just feeding from those pilchards on a regular basis. So you drop a pilchard down, you can get some snook. Make sure you have a landing net to bring it up on the pier. At the same time, the live bait bite in the inlets has been outstanding. Fish to 20 pounds are starting to move in from offshore. The inlet populations have been building really on a daily basis. It got really good this weekend. A lot of fish pushed in. Be sure to handle fish with care. Try not to remove them from the water. Revive them before you release them. I got a photo there. That's Justin Rufa with a nice snook that he caught in the St. Lucie Inlet. That's, pretty much the size of fish we're seeing now.
Let's go offshore, Hollywood.
Well, the summer wahoo bite is really starting to heat up. I heard of a half dozen fish that were caught in the last couple of days. All of them over 40 pounds. The largest was a 91-pounder that was caught out of Stewart 2 days ago. Most of the action has been between Stewart and Palm Beach in 150 to 250 feet of water. There's a bunch of kingfish on that shallow side of that. So, a lot of guys are saying they're getting bit off by kings. You never know if that was a king or a wahoo if you're fishing mono. So this time of year, you pretty much want to put a stretch of number 7 wire on your rig just in case a wahoo swings through your spread. What's been interesting about the wahoo bite is that it's the guys that are slow trolling or drifting with live or dead baits that are out fishing the high-speed trollers and the guys that are pulling wireline rigs and specifically targeting the wahoo. It's just kind of the incidental catch guys that are catching a lot of the fish. Average wahoo this week, 40 to 50 pounds. I got a photo just to give you an example. That's Adam Atkinson and his son Waylon. They caught that big wahoo fishing with Captain George Gotts out of Stewart, and that fish ate a live threadfin when they were out sailfishing. They just put a little piece of wire on, then they got that fish. The other thing, typically April and May are the top kingfish months in the East region, but June and July have actually been more productive this year. There's been a good population of kings on the reef off Jupiter and on the 8 Mile Reef off Stewart, as well as in like 60 to 75 feet of water south of Fort Pierce along that offshore bar. You can pretty much target those fish, just about every day by slow trolling a live threadfin or a Spanish sardine on a wire stinger rig behind the boat. Goggle eye will work, or blue runner if you're looking for the big ones. And while the offshore bite's been the most consistent one, if you can find a raft of bait within a mile or two of the beach, it's pretty much going to have kings on them early in the day and late in the day. Around those bait schools, you just sabiki up some baits, put a hook in them, put them back out on a wire stinger rig, work them on the outside edge of the school and hang on. Average kings right now are not big. I'd say like 8 to 15 pounds, but there's some 20, 25 pound fish in the mix.
All right, Hollywood, there's going to be a lot of bass fellas in town. So why don't you tell me what's going on with the bass report?
You know what? Okeechobee's on fire, and it's been on fire for a while. But the biggest issue impacting the bass bite on Lake Okeechobee right now is the water temperature. Once that sun gets up, the water temperature rises quickly, and that's just shutting down the bite. I mean, it's in the 90s by 11 o'clock in the morning. So you want to be on the water in the dark, fishing that amazing school fish bite that's going on the north end of the lake every day, right at dawn. Places like Observation Shoal, Third Point, the break in the reef. You just target the Kissimmee grass beds with a snowstorm or an albino shad colored bass assassin boss shiner, or you can throw a pearl colored lead shiner. Just fire those baits up in the grass or wherever you see busted and just work them under the surface, and you'll get those big blow-ups. But by 8 o'clock, that bite's going to shut down, and it's time to switch over to working the outside grass lines with live shiners, or just work up 8 to 10 inch, a larger June bug colored worm, rig Texas style, along the edges of the grass. The dawn bites like 20 to 30 fish. The shiner bites 20 to 30 fish. So you can easily do both. Be off the water by noon and, have 40 fish morning, 45 fish morning. Average bass on Lake Okeechobee right now is 1 to 4 pounds. Fish to about 6 pounds.
All right, thank you so much. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. He says inshore, spotted sea trout around the Spoil Islands near Harbor Branch. You want to use the Houdini or Drunk Monkey 6-inch sea shad on a 1/4 ounce jig head. And then offshore, mutton snappers at 75 feet of water off of Hobe Sound. Anchor up and chum. Use long leaders with a live or dead Spanish sardine or even maybe a grunt, Brie.
All right, steamy summertime is among us, and when the water's hot, the sharks are hotter in the Bell's Southwest region. So, Captain Ronnie, give us the weekend bite report.
Well, you know what? Always a pleasure representing the Bell's Southwest region. You know, sharks can be caught both inshore and offshore throughout the whole entire region, especially now they're really abundant with the hot water temps. But the most common are the black tips, the bulls, the nurse, the lemon, and some mako and hammerheads. So offshore, you really need to do is locate structure is the key. Just about all wrecks and artificial reefs. And depending on what time of the year, these sharks are following migrating fish from north to south. When the water is clean, you can actually see them cruising the beaches all along the outer coast. You know, inshore, they are abundant along grass flats, channel edges, middle bays, and on the lower stages of the tide, you will actually see these fish halfway out of the water looking for prey. There's no shortage, and probably the best way to catch them would be a good strong hook, cut baits, or even butterflying large baits to attract them. But if you're specifically targeting shark, wire leader is recommended, and medium to heavy rods and reels. They also can be targeted with a variety of artificial sight fishing on the lower stages of the tide, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet. And like I said, sight fishing them to just about completely out of the water. And I have a rare picture right now of a mako that was just caught in the last couple days, and that was actually caught out off the Pulley Ridge. Now, the offshore side, you know, it's been a tough week. We've got southwesterly winds, we've had a lot of rain, and we have a system coming through the Gulf, which has sort of hampered the bite. But just before this weather started moving in, the permit bite with Captain Brian Sanders down in the Everglades, he's telling me wrecks from about 8 to 20 miles out are holding fish, as well as Captain Steve on the misbehaving reports out of Naples to Fort Myers Beach, you know, 12 to 20 miles out. And Captain Corey McGuire up in the north end of the region says, you know what, if you want to venture out a little further, hitting the wrecks in about 40 to 70 feet of water, there's still plenty of opportunity to catch fish up to 30 pounds right now. And all three captains are telling me live crab seems to be the #1 bait, free line, or just a little bit of weight to figure out where they are in the water column. Like I say, with this weather, strongly recommended moderate weather is important, so keep an eye on the weather if you do decide to venture offshore. And I've got a nice picture of a nice permit caught up in the northern end of the region with Captain Corey McGuire. Now, on the inshore side, the redfish. You know, the southern end of the region from Whitehorse Key to Pavilion Key, on the last half of the incoming to the first half of the outgoing, concentrating on oyster bar shorelines, large oyster bars, and deadwood along the shorelines, as well as clumps of deadwood and blowdowns off the beaten path. Best way to catch these fish are going to be cut baits. Are going to be the best on a knocker rig, but chumming live pilchers and finger mullet, and also for the artificial guide, casting topwater walk the dog lures, gold spoons in the tannic water, as well as silver spoons in the more cleaner water to the north. Average size has been about 18 to 25 inches, and I got a picture of a couple of nice oversized reds caught up in the other northern end of the region with Captain Corey. Now, the last species is going to be the snook. Captain Corey McGuire tells me the north, right now the beaches from Venice down to Sanibel are holding good numbers of snook, especially in the areas where there are blowdowns. He's telling me live pinfish and pilchard free line. But to the south for myself, from Marco to Round Key, on the higher stages of the tide on the outer Gulf Islands, these passes are holding good numbers and fish up to 40 inches. Now, baits to include in the southern end are live pilchards, finger mullet, also free line, Rapala skitterwalks, the Bass Assassin 5-inch didapper on a 1/4 ounce jig head, as well as bigger spoons, 3/4 ounce gold and silver spoons. And I got a couple nice pictures of a nice snook up in the northern end, and a nice picture of a fish I just caught in the last couple days in the 40-inch club on a topwater skitterwalk. And Rick, before I close, one good thing about this weather, you know, with the Serious Weather app, I'm letting you know, I'm out on the water, I see these storms coming, and a lot of boats are taking off and running away from it. But if you practice and play with this, you go to the animation mode, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and guess what? That weather you see coming is no longer coming, and I can stay there and fish while the other boats are headed to the north. So if you get a chance, get online or check out the Serious Weather app.
All right, thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Caddy Can hotspots from the Southwest region. He says inshore, tarpon fishing nighttime, bridges, spans in Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, Sanibel, and then use live baits and 4 to 6 inch swim baits. And then offshore, red and gag grouper, Fish from Naples to Fort Myers Beach in 80 to 90 feet of water using live pinfish, sardines, squirrelfish, cut squid, herrings, and sardines. A whole plethora of baits.
Yes, all right. Now we want to highlight the Key West Marlin Tournament, taking place July 17th through the 20th, where you can win $50,000 in guaranteed cash prizes coinciding with annual Hemingway Days celebration. Entry is limited to the first 75 boats, so make sure to get registered ASAP at keywestmarlin.com. All right, we're putting our fins up over here in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region next, but first let's see what Dave is sinking his teeth into the CCA workbench for some new products.
We're going to be culling some Costas. I want to keep both of them.
Wow.
You can't let any Costas
go.
Don't let him go. Don't let him go.
They're even.
All right, we'll be back. Nice contraption.
It is a nice contraption.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. Okuma, Inspired Fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
Hey guys, as you can tell, I got my son, Captain Ridge Murphy, with me. And Ridge, sea conditions are everything when we leave out of these little boats. So tell me how you like using this to run from Islamorada to Flamingo.
You know, when it comes to running long distances, it's really important how you know exactly which way the sea conditions are coming from. So when you can get on a bank and run along the bank, it helps when you can say, okay, I'm not gonna run across this deep water because the wind's coming from this direction. We're gonna get the crap beat out of us.
Yeah.
So you get up on the bank and it's an easier way. You're gonna stay dry and you're gonna be more comfortable. And at the end of the day, you'll catch more fish that way.
You know, and the other thing that's so great about it is in the little boats, sometimes we got thunderstorms that pop up, and having radar, that keeps you pretty safe, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely.
All right, guys, so check out SiriusXM weather. And you know what? I think you'll see that in a technical polling skiff, it'll be a game changer for you when it comes to safety. It is a game changer, Dave.
Game changer.
Especially with this time of year.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, it was absolutely Sirius was made exactly for us during this time of year.
Yeah.
But we have some stuff here at the CCA workbench, so let's get at it.
All right, we're going to start here with the Yeti loadout, Go Box 30. Well, this is a box that's nearly indestructible, accessible. It keeps all your gear protected in there. You can take this thing anywhere. It's watertight, airtight. It's got vents on it. It's got that nice little thing up there at the top.
You can put your laptop in here.
Correct. It's got that's called the Pack Attic.
Pack Attic?
Yeah, the Pack Attic, because it's in the top. It's got a little divider in here that you keep the thing in separated, and a little caddy to put all your other stuff in there.
And this comes out if you wish, right?
Correct. That's the divider. Also has, locking holes all the way around, tie down places. This thing is not going to go anywhere. It's got non-slip feet, so you can, put it down and it's not going to go start sliding around with all your stuff. It's got the never fail hinge system, and like I said, it's made by Yeti, so it's nearly indestructible. They can't say it's indestructible because they'll find some guy who can crush it.
Indestructible?
It's nearly indestructible.
It's just been Ricky tested.
Right. Next, we got the Starbright liquid electrical tape. I mean, this stuff is really handy and it's really great. I don't know why everybody doesn't have some of it. You put this thing, whenever you're doing any kind of rewiring for your boat or for your trailer lights, if you want to dip your dock line in it, to keep it from fraying, you can fix a hole in a deck shoe. It's kind of like that liquid rubber stuff, except it's even stronger, I think. And it'll fix vinyl tears. It's permanent, airtight, watertight, vibration proof.
It comes in different colors.
Exactly, so you can make all your tape, your electrical tape colors match your liquid tape colors. And it comes in 1 ounce tubes or the 4 ounce little can. The only thing is, when you get these little tubes, you got to make sure you squash them real good and mix it all up before you squirt it out.
That's the key to it.
Yeah, that's the key to making that work.
Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
Electrical tape, good stuff. Next, we got these Costa broad bills. These are the new kind of a bigger, wider framed glasses. They got a sculpted large wraparound frame. They have the nice non-slip nose pads.
I think I might have to take
those are really good
to work with me.
Yeah, those are the matte reef actually with the polarized glass. Large, like I said, they're keeper ready, made for the loops.
I see that, yeah.
Made for the loops, and just a really good large frame glass for the bigger fellas, big strong fellas like yourself.
And this one,
Rick.
same?
Yep, same pair. That's in the midnight blue. With the mirrors.
They match my real legend. Come on.
Very good. Get that Costa broad bills. Last but not least, we have the TH Marine G-Force culling system. And what this does is allows you to cull through your catch and try to figure out which one's the biggest one so you can keep the big one and let go of the smaller one. This is the little balance beam that comes with it. The good thing about the balance beam is you don't have to be squinting in the sun trying to figure out or holding a weight the right way to figure out which one's heavier. You're going to know which one's heavier. It's got 6 buoys, all color coded. The lines are color coded too, so if you don't want to have the buoys on there, you just click off the little buoys off. They come off real easy. They even come with a little place here that you can store all of the little buoys on when you attach this to your boat or wherever.
And it just goes in your lip.
Yeah, you don't put that in my lip. That thing's got a stainless steel spring in it. It's good for a one-handed operation, and it'll stay on there once you put it on your fish.
Yeah, that thing would hurt.
Yeah, it would. Lip. These are all removable floats, so get that G-Force.
Use it for bass and redfish
Marine
tournaments if they ever happen again.
Correct.
All right, Bree, speaking of happening again, I know we gotta have another region. Come on, bring it.
And this region is happening. All right, if you want sharks in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region, well, you can take your pick with just about any of them. And Captain Jeff Hageman is here to help you try them on for size. Talk to us, Hag.
That's right. We got most of them. Black tip, sharp nose, bull sharks, hammerheads, and makos, tigers. When fishing for sharks, pick your tackle depending on the size shark you're after. Wire leader, of course, is a must with the sharp teeth they've got. You want to use a bigger size leader, bigger shark, of course. The beaches, passes, great place to fish. Any kind of current, moving water works really well. Skyway Bridge is also a great place to shark fish if you don't have a boat. Chum, and more chum. The more scent you put in the water, the more sharks are going to come and the more bites you're going to get. Make sure your chum, you got a good current flow to disperse it when you're shark fishing over a big area to draw them in. Offshore right now, we've got a lot of spinner sharks and black tips and sharp nose out there right now. And don't forget those extra long hook outs so you can keep your fingers. And as far as baits go, any oily fish will work. Bonita's a great bait. Mullet's a great bait. And stingrays are always a good bait. They put out a good scent trail and have a real heavy liver, and they work really good. Staying offshore, the mangrove snapper bite right now seems to be everywhere from inside the bay out to 100 feet of water over any high relief structure or rock pile. Reefer wreck, shrimp and sardines on an Ocker rig seems to working really well. Use a small circle hook as possible to hide your bait. They got really good eyesight and just enough lead to get to the bottom. Fish right now have been ranging anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds, with some bigger fish out a little deeper. Inshore, Captain John Lane with JB Charters out of Apalachicola reports the redfish bite's been really good. He's been catching them on the bay side of the island, working marsh points and oyster beds. He's using live shrimp or alewives on popping corks with a 12 to 18-inch leader and a 2-aught circle hook. Moving a little bit further down the coast, Captain Jimbo Keith of Saltwater Assassin Fishing Charters reports the redfish bite's been a little slow right now, with a few schools starting to show up in his area right now, and a few lower slot and a few oversized slot fish hanging around the island. He's still using shrimp, but mostly cut mullet fished on the bottom on the first part of the incoming tide. Captain Bobby Bradley of Florida Saltwater Fishing Charters out of Steinhatchee reports the redfish right now are hanging tight to the rocks on the turn of the tide. Gold spoons and cut bait have been working best. And I've got a photo here of my Pops with a nice Tarpon Springs redfish he caught last week.
Go Pops.
Looking
awesome.
good there, Papa.
Captain Mario Costello at Taos Charters out of the Crystal River and the Plantation Inn reports a good snook bite right now around the Mangrove shoreline from Crystal River to Homosassa. He's using a free-lined pinfish or select shrimp on a 4-aught circle hook on the incoming tide. Snook right now in his area have been ranging anywhere from 25 to 32 inches, and I got a photo here of Captain Mario with a nice Crystal River snook.
All right, thank you so much, Hag. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Anytime sunscreen and mosquito repellent hotspots from the Northwest region. He says inshore, you want to look the scallops around Gomez Rocks in 3 to 6 feet of water. That scallop fishing's been a little bit tough, Brie, bad water.
Yeah.
And then offshore, the groupers, reds, and gags in 70 feet of water over the ledges and rock piles. Use live pinfish for bait.
All right, everyone get in the boat. We're seeing what's circling in the Garmin Keys and Strike Zone Northeast regions next. But before we go, we want to remind you that if you want to be up to date on all things fishing in Florida and what this crazy fun crew is up to, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. We'll be right back.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala, another great day. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Find Florida's soul and discover Crystal River. Explore warm Gulf waters, spring-fed rivers, bountiful lakes, and fantastic fishing. Dive into adventure and enjoy the only place in the world where you can swim with the manatees. Treat yourself and your family to outdoor fun, rich history, and a relaxed coastal lifestyle. Discover Crystal River, Florida.
Welcome back, anglers. We mention it every week. Harbor Trucks has partnered with Casa Vieja Lodge to send 2 lucky winners to Guatemala for a 4-day, 3-night trip to fish with Rick and me at Casa Vieja Lodge. So head over to our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com to enter. That is going to be such a fun trip. I'm so excited.
You're my goat, you know.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Greatest of all time. I'll take it. All right. The Garmin Keys region is all ready for Shark Week, Florida Insider Fishing Report style. So, Captain Randy, tell us what we need to do if we want a little shark action in our lives this weekend.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Garmin Keys region, we have no shortage of sharks, both on the Atlantic side and in the backcountry. We kind of have both sides that we can go on. When you're offshore fishing, it's a whole different experience of putting your bait down deep or going to the Islamorada hump and catching a shark. But in the backcountry, we find them in shallow water. And it's pretty exciting when you can sight fish a shark that might be 3 feet long or 10 feet long. And we've got blacktip sharks, lemon sharks, bull sharks, tigers, and hammerheads in the backcountry. Those are common sharks that if you go shark fishing, you might see one or all of them at times. And what we like to do is take a bait like a barracuda or a bonita and butterfly it, hang it over the side, and you want to let the current work for you. You want to anchor the boat, or if you're drifting against the current and the wind, that scent will go upstream and those sharks will come to you. And it won't be long before you see some activity coming up to that chum line. And then you can sight cast with a fly rod. We love to throw flies with an orange fly is a great pattern for the sharks in the backcountry. Or you can put a piece of bait on and just like you would imagine, pitch it out in front of them, and you're going to get a bite from a shark. They're a lot of fun, especially the big spinners. They could be upwards of 150 pounds. They jump. If you close your eyes, you'd think you have a tarpon on, but these sharks really do a good job in the backcountry. And they're a fun thing for us to catch, and we do it on a regular basis. I've got a photo from Captain Greg Poland, who does quite a bit of shark fishing himself back there, and he sent me this picture of a tiger shark they recently caught around Flamingo.
All right, what else you got for me in short, bub?
The permit bite, I don't know what's going on with permit. I guess because I'm not permit fishing, it's been really good for most everybody that's going. And it seems like everybody I talk to, because of conditions, remember, it's been flat calm, it's been hot, we've had good tides, and these are all real favorable conditions for the backcountry, and especially permit, which, you know, Rick, you and I know what happens back there this time of year with the schools of permit back there. But I've been living it vicariously through other fishing guides that are sending me pictures, and a live crab is really key. You throw that crab in front of a school of permit, and you want to use your trolling motor to kind of get lined up. Try not to run your big engine, and you're certainly going to get a bite. And a lot of times, if you just take your time and you work them, you can catch quite a few permit and not disrupt the whole school. And that's kind of the key. You want to just, you know, catch one or two at a time and then, you know, get back on the school and just take it easy on them. A medium to heavy spinning rod's what you're going to need, because some of these permit are fairly big. Nobody does it better than Captain Pablo Rodriguez. Again, I've got a photo of him, Slam Time Charters out of Marathon. He recognizes conditions. He takes advantage of it. And I've got a photo of his triple header permit with Joey Finn, Ashley Boris, and Frankie Finn with their triple header.
That is
Nice.
awesome.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
We got to talk about snappers. It's that time of year. Snappers are biting. We're talking about different species. We got yellowtails. We got mutton snappers. We got mangroves. We're going to talk about muttons right now. You can catch them right where you would be yellowtailing on the edge of the reef, 60 to 90 feet, or you can go out in the deeper water, which I like to do and drift around from about 140 to 200 feet. Now, I use braided line. I like a deboned ballyhoo if I can't get live bait, but if I get live ballyhoo or pilchards, that's really what I like to use for mutton snapper fishing. And a long leader, 20 to 40 feet of about 40-pound mono is what I like on my mutton snappers, and enough lead to hold the bottom. And if you got the current just right, you can cover ground. These mutton snappers don't always school, so you might find one here, you might move over 100 feet and find another one, and it's nice when you can drift around and locate these fish. Now remember, a mutton snapper's got to be 18 inches long to keep, and a lot of these 17.5-inch muttons look like they're 20, so you might want to measure them just to be sure so you don't get in any trouble. I've got a photo from Captain Richard Black with Blackfly Charters here in Islamorada with his angler Ken with certainly a keeper-sized mutton.
That is a nice one. All right, tell me about the mangoes.
Here we are in July, mangrove snapper spawn. It's something that a lot of people take advantage of, mostly at night, believe it or not. Guys go at night, guys go during the day. But along the edge of the reef or structure, in about 40 to 60 feet of water, you're going to find these mangroves schooled up. Now, a lot of guys will anchor on them and they'll chum, and what they like to do is enhance their chumming a little bit with glass minnows or something like that. If you got some small pilchards, that's even better to get them fired up, to kind of get them going. And a lot of times you'll weed out the small ones and you'll get some of the bigger ones to start biting if you're chumming and you get them going. Now, if you can't get live bait, fresh cut bait is always good, and you want to use just enough lead so that it gets down to them, but still like a yellowtail drift. You want to drift your bait back on about a 30 or 40-pound leader, no heavier than that, to get these snappers to bite. I've got a photo of Captain Chris Trossett with Real Fly Charters in Key West. He's an expert at catching big mangrove snappers, and this is a photo of his angler with a 9.5-pound mangrove snapper.
Man, that is a stud. All right, Randy, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots for the Florida Keys. He says inshore tarpon, fish the bridges early in the morning or late at night with the live crab, and then offshore mangrove snapper, just like in his report, anchor in 30 to 60 feet on rocky bottom and chum with glass minnows and block chum. Then use live bait if possible, or fresh cut bait will work as well.
Rick, if it's okay with you, we're going to take a look at some tournaments going on the Florida Keys.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Anglers target 43 species of fish at the Key West Fishing Tournament, a free entry multi-division challenge that continues through August 31st. Catches and witness releases can be entered at several tackle shops throughout the Lower Keys and Key West, or at the tournament's website. The Stock Island Marina Village Key West Marlin Tournament, scheduled for July 17th through the 20th, features $50,000 in cash prizes and coincides with Key West's annual Hemingway Days Festival. Key West Robert James Slam Tournament, set for September 6th through the 8th, targets tarpon, permit, and bonefish, so anglers can aim for the coveted Flats Grand Slam. The event raises funds for cystic fibrosis treatment and research. Reef Environmental Education Foundation's 10th Upper Keys Lionfish Derby is set for September 13th through the 15th and hosted by Postcard Inn in Isla Mirada. Activities feature awards for lionfish captured, fillet demonstrations, games, raffle prizes, and more. So for more information on all tournaments in the Florida Keys, it's available at flakeys.com. Now, if sharks are what you want, sharks are what you're going to get in the Strike Zone Northeast region. So Captain Derringer, let's hear it.
You're exactly right, Brie. We definitely could not have picked a better time to talk about sharks here in the Strike Zone Northeast region. We've got a ton of different species of sharks, and there's a lot of them around. Now, you can target those sharks in the pogie pods by simply netting some pogies and either use them alive right around the bait pods, or you can create your own chum slick by just cutting some of those pogies up. And when you do get them chummed up, you can sight fish the sharks off the surface, which is really cool. And you can pretty much pick which shark you want to catch. Now, one of the more popular ways to catch a shark here in the region, really big ones at that, is to get behind one of the many shrimp boats we have working along the coast. Right now, there's an absolute ton of sharks behind those shrimp boats. Now, when they toss their bycatch overboard, it's an all-out feeding frenzy, and you can sight fish those sharks as well. So that's a lot of fun to do as well. You're going to find all kinds of different species of sharks behind those shrimp boats. I've seen from tiger sharks and hammerheads to black tips, and I mean, everything you could think of is going to be swimming around back there. Some of my favorites, I think Randy was talking about them, are those spinner sharks. They put on a crazy spinning aerial display, very reminiscent of a tarpon, and they're fun on some light or even heavy tackle. Now, we also have some really big bonnethead sharks inshore, and they can be a lot of fun on some light tackle. Actually, I call them the Northeast Florida bonefish, because they can make some serious drag screaming runs. Now, those bonnethead sharks, they're primarily crustacean eaters, so a halved blue crab is going to work really good for those guys. No matter what type of shark you're targeting, you're going to want to beef up your leader a bit, of course. And in some cases, you can go to a wire leader, but we land quite a few of them on just some heavy fluoro or even mono and a circle hook. And I've got a cool picture here. This is Gabe Lefebvre with a big black tip shark. He caught behind one of those shrimp boats on the fly rod of all things. I'm sure that was a lot of fun.
That's like the coolest shark picture I've ever seen. Just saying.
All right, let's stay offshore. What do you got, bub?
Well, since the first part of the season is this weekend, I thought we had to talk about the red snapper. I spoke to our resident snapper expert, Captain Jimmy Laidler from thelegendfishing.com. He tells me the snapper are pretty much stacked up on just about any structure from about 5 miles and out. Now, that being said, it can still be tough to get them to bite sometimes. Now, he suggests using a knocker rig with as light a line and weight as possible. And Jimmy told me something that makes a lot of sense for this weekend. You know, that's if you're fishing in a pack of boats, and you probably will be. There's going to be a lot of boats out there. Those fish are going to get shy. So what you might want to do is try to free line your bait down to the fish and see if that gets the bite. And there's also a thermocline on the bottom in a lot of areas. So you don't want to fish that water column until you find where the school's hanging out. Now, if you're going out there, you know what? Be safe, be nice. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of people out there, but it should be fun. And I got a picture here. I took the Pathfinder offshore last week, and my client, James Scott, found some monster red snapper on some of the nearshore reefs out of St. Augustine. Hopefully that one's still swimming around for somebody to catch this weekend.
I'm sure it is, Tommy. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
All right, you know, the flounder bite has probably been the most consistent bite this past week throughout the region. The creeks just south of Matanzas Inlet have been a good bet on that last of the morning outgoing tide. Look for the slightly deeper bends in the creeks and drag a mud minnow or a small finger mullet along the bottom. Captain Buzz Brandon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com tells me the flounder are also stacking up in the creek holes just north of the Sisters Creek boat ramp in Jacksonville. Again, that last of the outgoing and first of incoming has been the best bite. Those flounder, they're running about 1 to 3 pounds right now, although on my morning trip today, we caught one that was about 6 pounds, so there are some bigger ones around. Now, staying inshore, you know what? We've got an awesome redfish tide heading into this weekend. The tide's going to be up first thing in the morning, making for some great topwater conditions. My clients have been doing really well with that Rapala Skitter V this week. You know, it's a little bit smaller and it really matches those small finger mullet that are all over the grass lines at high tide. The flats along the ICW north of Volano in St. Augustine, all the way up to Palm Valley, they've been holding good numbers of those little finger mullet on that higher outgoing tide. Toss your topwater where you're going to find that bait stacked up. Now, we have a mid-morning negative low tide the next few days, and that's going to have the redfish pushed out right along the ICW throughout the region. Find the shell bars with a steep drop-off on the ICW, as well as the little drains that are going to be coming off the flats on that negative tide. The bait fish are going to be grouped up in those areas, and there should be some big redfish hanging in there as well. And speaking of big redfish, I've got another photo here. This is the Hartman brothers with their big redfish that they caught with Captain Jake Bates from MuyGrandeFish.com up there in Fernandina. There's some big fish up there in Fernandina, man. You know, because those redfish tournaments, everybody runs to Fernandina.
I know. I used to run there myself.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Tommy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems Hotspots, our new trolling motor sponsor for the Northeast region. He said inshore redfish and flounder in the creek holes throughout the entire region on the last of the outgoing tide. Fish a mud minnow or a live shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head, and then offshore mangroves and red snappers on the reefs and wrecks in 80 to 100 foot depths off of St. Augustine. What do you think about that? We got a trolling motor sponsor now.
Oh, shoot. I love it. Welcome to the show, guys. All right, we've got one more region to cover here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, Shark Week. So if you're headed out in the Casa Vieja Southeast region this weekend, you won't want to miss this report. So stay calm, no splashing, and we'll be right back to get you.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, Fish for the World. Sportsman's Adventures, fishing for adventure. And Bells, everything you need to live life local.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Life beyond the gravitational pull of the city requires a can-do attitude. It takes versatility to accomplish all that needs to be done. and enough power to never get in over your head. The Kubota L-Series tractor pulls up its bootstraps, hooks up to its many attachments, and gets the job done right. That's why it's the #1 selling compact tractor in America.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at gokubota.com.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of new and used car and truck inventory in Southwest Florida. Our used vehicle inventory goes through a 120-point inspection process performed by certified technicians. Exclusive to Florida Insider Fishing Report viewers is our Peace of Mind Harbor Truck Warranty. If you don't see what you're looking for, give us a call and we can get it for you. Go to harbortrucks.com and click on the Florida Insider Fishing Report tab.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the many different ways that you can mount your power pole. Now, I often get asked, hey, Captain Rick, how do we install this? Well, it's real simple, guys. All makes and models come with a standard bracket. It's designed to drill 4 holes in the transom, and then you through bolt the power pole through the transom itself. Now, we also have a variety of different brackets that are designed for different applications. This particular one is called the adapter plate for jack plates. Now, I like this because, one, it angles out my power poles like this. Plus, I also have the ability during the installation to have adjustments up and down, as well as adjust the tips in and out. The other thing that's very, very common is the engine mount. That simply uses the bolts from the engine, and then we have these wings that come off just like you see here, giving you a great angle like you have with the jack plate adapter. Now, the other thing that we also use is the deck mount for those guys that have pontoons. So that actually bolts to the top. So keep in mind there's many different ways to mount your power pole, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. We have so many ways to mount your power pole.
Exactly. Options are all the rage these days. Exactly. All right, well, let's see what our last captain, Jimbo Thomas, in the Casa Vieja region has to say about the man in the gray suit. Go for it, Jimbo.
Hey, Brie, Ricky, and Dave. Well, you know, it seems like in the last couple of years there's been a lot more sharks around than what we used to see, especially bull sharks and sandbar sharks. Now, if I was going to do some inshore fishing for sharks, I'd get anchored up along the edge of any channel and then hang a hunk of bait like a bonita or barracuda slab off the back of the boat and use that for chum. Then you want to drift a slab of that bait back in the current. Use 20 to 30 pound tackle with a 4 to 5 foot piece of wire leader and a circle hook. Great place to do this is in the Finger Channel south of Key Biscayne. And the nice thing about that is you can do it in just about any kind of weather. Now, the main sharks that you're going to see inshore are bulls, lemons, and blacktips. But it's not uncommon for a big hammerhead or even a tiger shark to show up in that shallow water. Then offshore, bonita and barracuda are also the bait of choice, and you want to fish anywhere from 100 feet on out to 400 or more. Put a weighted bait on or near the bottom, and also drift baits on the surface, or you can even put them under the kite. And I would go a little heavier, 30 to 50 pound tackle, and use that wire leader and a nice big circle hook, depending on what size bait you're using. Now, the most common offshore sharks would be hammerheads, bulls, lemons, and sandbars, but you never know what's going to swim by. And I don't really fish for sharks that often, although we have them eat our baits a lot, but I've caught just about every kind of shark over the years except for a great white. And there are a few of those seen every year, but I've never seen one. Nowadays, most of those sharks are protected
So there's a lot of rules and regulations. So if you're going to keep one, which I don't recommend, make sure that you're doing it the right way, the legal way. Then also offshore, the dolphin fishing has been really good or just so-so, depending on who you've been speaking to. The successful boats have been heading offshore anywhere from 5 to 10 miles. Look for weed lines, floating debris, and birds working over those fish. And there have been some turns and an occasional frigate. They've been working over schools of mixed-sized fish. They've been traveling to the south. The fish have been about 50-50 on keepers and throwbacks. But once you find them, they have been hungry. They've been eating live and cut baits, also getting them on the troll with rig baits and small lures and feathers. And then if you get lucky and find anything of size floating, there's been fish under that, and I've heard of fish up to about 20 pounds, the biggest one I've heard in the last few days. Now moving inshore, catch and release snook fishing in the inlet, still our best bet. Snook are schooled up in all of the inlets of the region. They're being caught on live pilchards, herring, pinfish, croakers, and live mullet. You want to fish them near the bottom using a Jupiter rig. And a lot of these fish have been big. They're big spawning fish up in the 20-pound range. So you want to use at least 40 to 50-pound fluoro leader and 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. And if there's no bait in the area, you can work flare hawk jigs or 4-inch Bass Assassin jerk baits along the bottom. And both the incoming and outgoing tides have been good early in the morning or late into the afternoons into the evenings. And then we've got mangrove snapper again, and they've been hanging around any structure throughout the region. Look for these mangroves around bridge columns, along channel edges, dredge holes, artificial reefs. Best baits have been cut ballyhoo and bonita, and small live pilchards, herring, or pinfish. Want to fish the bait on the outskirts of the structure, use a knocker rig with just enough weight to hold bottom with a light mono or fluoro leader, 1/0 to 3/0 circle hooks. Or you can bait a 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce Bass Assassin jig head. And the best fishing is going to be in the evenings, and chumming is not recommended since it does attract a lot of small bait stealers. And we're looking at snappers in the 1 to 3 pound range. I got a photo here. This isn't really a snapper, but it's a big hogfish that I just had to brag about that we caught about 2 weeks ago fishing with a live shrimp on the bottom.
Wow.
Hey, Jimbo, let's talk about that for a second. We got a little extra time. On those hogfish, I mean, not a lot of people catch them on rod and reel. Why don't you tell us if there's any little secrets if you wanted to try to go do that?
Rick really wants to know.
All right, well, you got to go where they live, of course, and we're fishing out on the Patch Reefs, and that fish came out of 160 feet of water. So that's why them big ones are out there. There's no divers out there. You got to have just the proper conditions. We're laying I was using dead shrimp, actually, using a dead shrimp with a knocker rig, letting it lay still on the bottom. And that day we caught 3 of them. The other 2 were 5-pounders, which are still nice ones. Right. And I can't wait to get out there and do it again. I'm just waiting for the conditions to be right.
All right, Bud, awesome. Thank you for straightening me out on that. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots from the southeast region. Inshore, fish your local inlet in the evening with live and artificial baits for catch and release snook. And then offshore, look for the dolphins around the weed patches, under the birds, anywhere from 8 to 20 miles offshore.
You can go do a sportsman adventures with hogfish now. Hey,
that would be cool.
With Jimbo, that'd be fun. All right, everyone, our job here is almost done, and we hope we've prepared you for an action-packed weekend. But before we get rigged up, we are going to prepare you for what we're fishing for next week, right here on the Florida
Insider.
Oh, fishing report.
Yeah,
I almost got you. You mean pay attention.
I'm paying.
Titan and Titan XD Diesel from Harbor Trucks has America's best truck warranty, 5 years, 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper, and can tow up to 12,000 pounds. Harbor Trucks has the largest selection of Titan XD and Titan in Florida, starting at $29,000. Harbor Trucks is conveniently located halfway between Tampa and Naples. Harbor Trucks, the place to buy.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster, now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
For the bass,
that thinks it's a bulldog. For the walleye that thinks it's a freight train. For the tuna that thinks it's a torpedo. For the tarpon that thinks it's a tarpon. You need the mono that thinks it's a braid. Suffix Advance. New Advanced Mono with HMPE braid molecules for strength, abrasion resistance, and low stretch. Suffix Advance. The mono that thinks it's a braid.
Do things. Be sane. Don't fritter away your time. Create. Act. Take a place wherever you are. And be somebody. Get action.
Marlin.
Make sure to tune in next week because we are talking
Marlin.
Marlin.
We're talking Marlin.
Yeah, Dave's so excited.
I'm
Do you know
excited.
anything about
I'm happy.
Marlin? He's so happy.
I'm
This
happy.
is like your zone, right?
I like the Marlin.
He likes the Marlin.
I do.
You know, when I made the schedule, I specifically put Marlin the week after ICAST because
So I don't have to do
want
much.
you-
I'll know it all.
No, because I know you're going to have all kinds of cool stuff.
I should.
All kinds of
ICAST is usually good. It's a
Yeah.
cool thing.
Should be
I mean,
fun.
it's
Giant.
going on as we speak, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Mole.
The whole industry will be there.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope you have a great weekend fishing, and we'll see you next week because we're gonna get us some marlin.
Marlin.
Right, Marlin? Got me a marlin.